Christian parenting.
Hey Mama, I'm Pamela Hinkleman, certified empty nest coach, and you're listening to the Midlife Mama podcast. This show is for Christian moms navigating the empty nest, learning how to let go with grace, set healthy boundaries, reconnect in marriage, and step confidently into their God-given purpose. Each week, I'll coach you through this season with faith-filled encouragement, honest conversations, and practical tools that you can apply right away to your relationships and your life. If this episode encourages you, I'd be grateful if you'd leave a quick rating and review. It helps other moms find the support they need. You'll find the link in the show notes. And make sure you're following the podcast. And let's get started. Welcome back to the Midlife Mama podcast, the place for faith, friendship, and real talk for empty nest moms. One of the surprising realities of midlife is that just when we think our parenting role is changing, another one starts to grow. We're still daughters to our own parents, many of whom are aging, needing more support, and sometimes more emotional energy than we expected. And at the same time, we're learning how to relate to our adult kids in a new way. It can feel like we're stretched between two generations, trying to be a good daughter to our parents while also loving our adult kids without control, expectations, or guilt. If you've ever wondered, am I doing enough for my parents? Am I too involved or not involved enough with my adult kids? And why does this season feel so emotionally heavy? Then today's conversation is for you. I'm joined by Dr. Allison Alford, author of Good Daughtering, and we're talking about what it really means to be a good daughter in midlife, both for our aging parents and our ever-evolving relationship with our adult children. Dr. Allison Alford is a communication scholar, professor at Baylor University, and author of Good Daughtering, The Work You've Always Done, The Credit You've Never Gotten, and How to Finally Feel Like Enough. This is a gentle, freeing conversation about guilt, expectations, boundaries, and how to walk through this season with grace instead of pressure. So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and let's get started. Welcome, Dr. Allison.
Thank you so much for having me, Pamela. That's my mom's name, so I have to like everyone named Pamela. So we're off on a good start.
Lovely. It's wonderful. I love the concept of your book. When you reached out, I was like, oh, girl, this is going to be good. Your book talks about good daughtering. Where do most women get their definition of what a good daughter is, and how might that definition be unrealistic or harmful in midlife?
Such an important question. And we should all pause right now and ask ourselves, where did I get my definition of what it means to be a good daughter? And what I found is that we're absorbing that idea of what good or good enough means through our cultural interactions, our family scripts, decades of watching the relationships between our other family members. We're watching our friends and seeing what they do with their parent or grandparent over the years. And we rarely stop to define what we think good is. And that creates a problem, which is that good keeps moving further away. Every time we do something good, we think, oh, there's this other person doing this other thing, or my mom sure would like it if I did this much also. And we keep moving the goalpost. So we never actually get to good enough, a feeling most of us don't ever land in that space.
Oh, that's good. So, especially in this season of life, how is that difficult for women in this tension between aging parents and adult children?
I loved what you said in the intro. It was so valuable to think about how our parents are changing right now. And many of us have parents who we can see that they're changing. They don't necessarily have an intense need from us. They don't all of a sudden need to live at our house, or they can't drive all of a sudden, or there's some big illness. They're just slightly different every day. And that, what you said in the intro, is it takes more of our emotional resources. It also takes more of our cognitive space. We're thinking about them. We're worrying about them. We're making different kinds of plans. And subtly, that takes up just a little bit more of our energy and our effort every day. Now, that's a big struggle because we are also giving cognitive space and emotional resources to our launching children in emerging adulthood. And I know this myself very intimately because I am launching a senior in high school right this moment. It is amazing to me how much mental space that takes up, how often I am thinking about the present, his future. We're talking about the today, and then in the next conversation, we're talking about the tomorrow. But I am simultaneously, he's not aware that I'm simultaneously doing that for my parents. I'm thinking about them, and I realize, wow, so many minutes and so much effort in the day went toward these giving of these resources to other people who I love, but it can be draining.
Right. So, wouldn't you say ultimately good daughtering boils down to expectations and how those impact us as daughters?
Good daughtering absolutely has this element of expectations. And that's where it starts, is thinking, what am I supposed to do? What should I do? What ought I do? What are other people doing? What will people think if I don't do these things?
Yeah.
But then what I will add to that is that we can come and transform that thought. We can transform from expectation to action. And that's why I talk about daughtering as a verb, because we have choice. We have agency within our relationship. And so we can transform good daughtering into what I say it is and what is reasonable for me at this time. I can allow myself to do that and have that, and also know when to stop and pursue other things.
Oh, that's so good. So it boils down to awareness, right?
Oh, for sure.
No, we have what's going on the inside. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so much pressure. It starts with that, right?
Yeah, I think that one of the most interesting things I found through my research over the past decade is that women just don't have the language to talk about daughtering. And if we're not talking about it, then it really does escape our top level awareness. What I noticed from the interviews with the women that I conducted as part of my social science research is that we're always using these borrowed terms, right? One of the things that I noticed is women, particularly younger adult women, will say, she's my best friend, or she's a friend, or now we're friends, because they've emerged from adolescence and they think that this more of the symmetry of positioning in the world makes them friends. But it's such a miscalculation of the daughter-parent relationship, because daughters and their parents are never, ever going to have the same makeup of a relationship as friends do. And so we lose something when we don't talk about daughtering as daughtering, which is both this tie, this family tie that's never going to go away, with obligation, with an age gap, and yet also a lot of love. And I think that we see a similar problem as a daughter if I start to take care of my parents more and I say, now I'm the mother of my mother, or I'm parenting my parents. This misnomer confuses our brain about what daughters actually do and why, because we turn it into something maternal, and it's not. It's daughterly. It is daughterly to care for those in our family.
Oh, that's so good. I should back up and I'd say, please explain this term, good daughtering, because that's foundational. It's the title of the book and we don't use the word. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I have the book right here, so I'll show it.
So cute.
Look at that. It's so nice. And the subtitle that I wrote is The Work You've Always Done, The Credit You've Never Gotten, and How to Finally Feel Like Enough. And I think this helps us understand the word good daughtering, or the title. It's a bit of a play on looking at what's expected and then redesigning daughtering for ourselves, so that then I know I'm a good daughter at every level, even without having to do more. So one of the things that the book starts by just pointing out all the different ways that daughtering is occurring. And I talk about daughtering as a form of labor, in the same way that we could talk about parenting as labor, a labor of love, but parenting is work. Daughtering is a form of work. And I describe the 4 ways that work shows up. The first way is the acting, and it's the tasks. That's the very visible way we see doing daughtering, going over to your parents' house, taking a meal, sitting and watching golf together, making phone calls, hosting events. The second way is emotional, as you described, giving our emotional resources to soothe and smooth or reduce conflict or prevent issues from occurring with other family members. The third way is thinking. That's the cognitive space, the planning, the worrying, the anticipating, the managing. And the fourth way is our identity. How do we engage in being a daughter? I mentioned my mom's name is Pamela, so I moved through the world thinking, how am I Pamela's daughter? And how do I represent my family and everything she's taught me, even when she's not around? And this is so important for people whose parents have passed away, is we continue to do daughtering all our life as we carry that legacy. So good daughtering is our reframe for ourselves, that we're already there. We're doing so much more than we've ever acknowledged to ourselves. And we don't have to do more to be worthy. We're already there.
Beautiful. That's such an interesting concept that even when our parents are gone, we still will be daughtering because we're carrying on that legacy. That's beautiful. Hey mama, if your house feels too quiet and your heart feels too heavy after launching your child, I've created a guide just for you. It's called Journaling Through Transitional Grief, a gentle, faith-filled resource to help you process the deep emotions of letting go. Inside, you'll find 6 reflection questions that will help you name your feelings, invite God into the grief, and experience His comfort in the middle of change. Remember, transitional grief is only a season, and God is leading you toward peace, purpose, and joy. You can grab your free copy at the link in the show notes. Now, let's get back to our conversation. I want to talk a little bit about pressure that empty nest moms or midlife women feel. The pressure between the aging parents and the adult children. Like recently, I was supposed to go to Minnesota to help my parents move in December. And then all of a sudden, my youngest daughter with the toddler was very ill. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I prayed about it. I said, Lord, I don't know what to do. And so I just talked to my mom and I said, Mom, I don't really know what to do. And she's, honey, we'll be fine. You go be with Keziah and Rennie. She needs help. And I was like, that. First of all, that was so courageous and loving of my mom, not to put that expectation on me that I had to be there at that moment. I was going to circle back and I said, Mom, I'll come I will come and help you. They were moving. And of course I wanted to be there to help them. It's a 5.5 hour drive, but gosh, so this tension is real.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that tension is real. All our life long, we're managing that tension, but especially when we add other people in the mix. So it could be our partner. It could be our spouse that all of a sudden they need something and we're thinking, how do I balance my parent versus my romantic partner? When we add kids, it certainly adds this element. But I think something important that you're identifying, Pamela, is when our kids are little and they live in our home, it's a much more obvious choice that we have to do the stuff for our kids. And also because our parents are not elderly yet. So we make the choice for our kids over and over again. But once we launch our kids and our kids are adults, we're adults, our parents are adults, and you're describing a situation where there's multiple independent households. We're not actually caregiving each other as in, I need you to operate on a day. We're talking about those emotional connections and often feeling like because I don't live with them or spend all my time with them, when I can do something for them, that feels like a big, obvious way to demonstrate my love through daughtering. Something important that we have to remember is that's not the only way to do daughtering. That connection of you calling your mom and letting her know, I wish I could be there. I love you. That's offering her an emotional resource and letting her know your sentiment. And I think that is where we can all grow a little bit. We can be aware of our daughtering in so many more ways. We can narrate that by talking about it out loud, telling our mom, our dad, our children, our partner, our husband, our wife. And when we do that, we create a bigger fullness for what daughtering is, and we can start to give ourselves credit for other parts of it. Because you're not only daughtering if you drive 5.5 hours and help with packing. Of course you would want to do that. That was nice of you. But it wasn't the only way you got credit for the work that you did that week. You did other things on the phone and through your planning and your loving and care. And I think that you were also doing an important form of daughtering, which is you were teaching your daughter how to interact between daughter and mother by showing her the example intergenerationally. And that's a huge part of our responsibility, is training and teaching the next generation about how to be healthy and effective in their relationships.
That's beautiful. I love it. Okay, let's pivot now. We have daughters. As middle-aged women, we have grown daughters, fully grown, who are doing their own daughtering. And this is so complex. It's amazing. So how can she step out of, with her now adult 20-something, 30-something, 40-something, whatever, step out of control and respect autonomy and relating in a new way? How can women approach that shift in their relationship with their grown daughter with just humility and grace?
Yeah, that's such a smart, beautiful way of thinking about what our opportunities are here to improve our family relationships. So we started this conversation by talking about ourselves as the daughters, and we all exist in these multiple roles. I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a worker, I'm a neighbor, I'm a community member. I am all these things at once, but we do often tend to give priority to one role or the other. And so now we are shifting from thinking of ourselves as the daughter to thinking of ourselves as the mother. What do I want for my adult daughter with her daughtering? And I also think about this a lot. I don't have an adult daughter, but I have a teenage daughter. And I'm very aware that I am responsible for teaching her what I expect for how she relates to me. And a big piece of that is talking to our daughter about her daughtering and also allowing for multiple things to be true at once. So one of the things I've heard from many women over the years is mothers say, I don't want my daughter just to show up for me out of obligation. I want her to want to be with me. And then that's when they start using the friend language. The fact is that obligation is just part of it. It's always going to be there. It's just whether you want to call it a biological tie, evolutionary tie, a social cue. Women are going to feel, our daughters are going to feel obligated to do daughtering for us. What we have to do is take that, but not negate that there's also a level of desire for them to be there. And when they give us daughtering, they are also seeking our mothering, and they get a big benefit out of being a member of a family, knowing that we're there to support them. So one of my favorite things is that as I started learning about this and writing about it, I told my mom about the word daughtering. And she started saying to me, thank you for daughtering me today, or that was some good daughtering. And we laugh. It's a little silly sometimes. It feels a little cringe. But if I'm honest, it's very meaningful to me. And she started to pick up on as she learned more about daughtering. It's not just when I come for a holiday Or I bring meals and I put them in their freezer. Or I send her something in the mail because I know she likes these little lotion gel caps, right? And I'll just surprise her. Those are some doing or task things that are very visible. And she'll say, thank you for daughtering me with these things. But she's started to really hone in on and notice when I give her emotional support. And when she feels validated by me, she talks out loud and then I say something back. And she'll say, thank you for sharing that wisdom with me, or that was some good daughtering. And I am validated then as the subordinate member, as the daughter, that my effort was worthwhile, that it was meaningful, that it's accepted, that my wisdom as a daughter is valued and accepted and allowed in an adult capacity, which is very different than friendship, but so important to have validated for our young adult daughters.
Yeah, so that it boils down to that. When you're with your young adult daughter, validate her, empathize with her, see her for where she is right now. That's the crux of life. To just be a little bit more gracious with ourselves in this season of life where we're so used to mothering, and then our children leave us and we're like, I'm really not actively mothering, but yet we are. So it is complicated to be human, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's such a smart way of looking at that there, is saying that part of my mothering of an adult child is allowing her to daughter me.
Yeah.
Taking what she wants to give as an autonomous person in our relationship and letting her adulthood, her personality, her wisdom, letting that impact me, and not constantly thinking that mothering is just a downward thrust and a downward molding, but allowing myself to be molded, changed, and transformed by my daughter is a gift to her.
That's beautiful. That just requires a lot of listening, a lot of empathy, and a lot of validation, right?
Yes. Yes, and a lot of self-reflection that you have raised a beautiful person who is a full adult human, and they probably have cool things to share with you.
So if you can speak directly to the empty nest mom who feels stretched thin between aging parents and grown children, what would you want her to know about what it means to be a good daughter in this season?
Mom, daughter, wife, woman who is stretched thin, just because you can see what could be done or what needs to be done doesn't mean that it's yours to carry. We are so smart. We are so wise. We see so many things. We see what our parents need or what they could use or what could be done to optimize. Our brains are optimizing everywhere. We see what our grown child might have, might need, might want, where they could go, what path could open up. But just because we see it doesn't mean we should act on it. It doesn't mean it's ours to carry. So I want you to give yourself permission to pause before saying yes to something. And definitely pause and close your lips before volunteering for something that no one asked you to do. And recognize that in a lot of these situations, our parents or our grown child, they can handle it on their own. And maybe they want some emotional connection from us, but they don't necessarily need us to step in and take over. So it's really okay to see everything and then still take a step back and let each of these people run their own lives. And it's a beautiful but stressful time of life to be in between these different generations. And I think we have to find the ways to enjoy it. What do I like about these people? What do I value about my role? What is so cool about where I am now? And saying those things out loud and bringing them top of mind makes us feel them more strongly so we can stay in the joy.
I love that. So what you're saying is just because you see a need, it doesn't mean you have to meet it. We have to just be clear and pause and say, is that something I need to help with? Or should I let them figure it out on their own? I love that.
Yes. Yeah. but all around us, even in the workplace, even with our neighbors, even with something that's happening down the street, even when we see something in politics or on the news, our brains are going 150 miles an hour all the time. And sometimes we start to get confused. That means we need to step in just because we've seen a space where something isn't being taken care of. But if we let those things go, we will begin to see that there are spaces in our life where we need to take care of ourselves. And that actually can rejuvenate us and help us to get in contact with what it is that we love about our family and what it is we love about our life.
Love it. Thank you for this beautiful conversation. Dr. Allison, I would love to know, can you tell my listeners where they can grab your book, Good Daughtering?
Yes, absolutely. You can grab this book anywhere fine books are sold, but you can also go to my website, daughtering101.com. My socials, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Daughtering101. I have a Substack, Daughtering101. And I'd love to hear your stories about what it means to be a daughter, what it means to be a good daughter. And I really appreciate you sharing your listeners with me today.
Oh, wonderful. I will have links to all those good things in the show notes. What a thoughtful and freeing conversation. Mama, if you've ever been feeling stretched thin between your parents and your adult kids, I hope this episode reminded you of something important. Being a good daughter doesn't mean doing everything, fixing everything, or carrying everyone's emotions on your shoulders. In midlife, God is gently reshaping our roles. We're learning to love with more wisdom, more boundaries, and more trust in Him. You're allowed to care deeply without carrying it all. You are allowed to honor your parents and respect your adult children while still tending to the woman God is forming you to be in this season. Here's your coaching tip of the week. In each episode, I will give you one actionable step to improve your life. Remember, you can't change everything, but you can take one step to be better. This week, I want you to take a moment to contemplate where God might be inviting you to release guilt and receive grace in your role as a daughter. If this episode encouraged you, I'd love you to share it with a friend who might be walking through the same tension. And if you haven't already, be sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss future episodes on empty nest marriage, adult children, purpose, and all the beautiful, complicated parts of midlife. Grace and peace, Mama. You've got this, and God's got you. Thank you so much for spending time with me on the Midlife Mama podcast. My hope is that you leave each episode feeling encouraged, grounded, and clearer about what you're feeling, what God may be stirring in you, and how to move forward in the season of the empty nest. Through these conversations, I'm not just sharing stories, I'm coaching you, helping you name what's happening beneath the surface, challenging the thoughts that keep you stuck, and take intentional steps toward peace and confidence as a midlife mom. If you're ready to go deeper and want personalized coaching support, I invite you to apply for coaching. Coaching is a focused one-on-one space where we work together to gain clarity, process emotions, and discern what God is calling you to in this next chapter. You'll find the application linked in the show notes, and let's stay connected. You can find me on Instagram at phinkelman, that's PHENKELMAN, or on Facebook at Pamela Hinkelman, Empty Nest Coach. You don't have to figure out this season alone, Mama. Support and direction are possible, and I'm here when you're ready.